What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Seth the Non-Surgeon, and you already know what time it is. Tipsy talk. Alright, people, what's going on? Glad you're back for another Tipsy Talk. Give yourself a round of applause. A few things we gotta talk about. Of course, we're gonna talk about how I went broke. One thing I feel, I'm gonna say off top, is that maybe this is just my philosophy. Maybe it might not be true, but I don't feel that you can truly, a person can truly appreciate money unless they are broke. And I don't mean, I got $10 in my account broke. I mean, bank account in the negative. I got a $500 bill due Friday, and I don't know how I'm gonna buy groceries. Broke. And that's what I'm gonna talk about that happened to me. A couple of things. Somebody mentioned in my last Tipsy Talk they want to see me do a grilling video. Well, don't mind if I do. I definitely will put that on the schedule to do. And also somebody said they want to see some cutting footage. Unfortunately, I'm in the area where the grass isn't growing. I do leaf cleanup, so I'll definitely try to get one of those in, but it's been raining like every day. It rained today. So I was actually cleaning out my shed, bro. I would make a video on my shed clean out on my shed clean out, but it was so horrible. I was just embarrassed. Like I was cleaning it out. Once a year I would take everything out the shed and I would reorganize it just to get it. Because during the season you kind of just like throwing stuff in there. But I got to the point where I was so busy with my full-time job and cutting grass part-time that I wasn't able to organize my shed like I wanted to. But yeah, so now I'm going through like 5 years of junk. This Amazon boxes, trash, whatever. But yeah, so like I always say, if you're not familiar with Tipsy Talks, it's where I hold a red cup, I tell a long story, and then I try to make a point. And what's in my cup is bourbon. Evan Williams, to be exact, green label. How did I go broke? That is a good question. And I think me going broke has made me appreciate money so much more. I grew up, I would say when we first moved into our house, I grew up in a town called Mechanicsville, Virginia. And when we first moved into our house, I would say we were probably lower middle class, if that. I would say we might not have been in the middle class range yet, but over time, by the time I got to college, I felt we grew from lower middle class to middle class. And I'm just trying to give you a background of myself and my finances, because I feel that that's important. I don't want y'all to think that, well, maybe you weren't broke just because you were bad with money. No. My mom is literally still to this day the best person I know with money. Like, she had me in middle school balancing checkbooks and practicing writing checks. In high school, she had me doing mock tax returns. I remember, like, I was sitting there doing tax returns, and I don't even think she filed it because I was a dependent. Now that I'm an adult, it's like I look back on that, I'm like, well, why was I filling out those tax returns? But and so that leads me to my I'll start with my first job. I have a couple of funny stories, so I might go off tangent a little bit with these stories, but it's gonna lead up to a point, I hope. You're gonna go on this ride with me. So let me start with my first job I ever had, right? Which was at McDonald's. That's the first funny story of how I got the job. So, like I said, I lived in a town, small town in the county outside of Richmond called Mechanicsville, Virginia, right? But my last year of high school, senior year, I went to a school in Richmond called Armstrong, right? So, in order for me to go to the inner city school, I had to have an inner city address. So I used my grandpa's address to go to this school. And so, but every day I'm driving from the school to my house, from my house to the school in Mechanicsville. It's like 30-minute drive. I decided, I said, I was used to drive by this McDonald's that was probably about 10 minutes from my school. And I said, I want to get a job. You know what I mean? Because I used to get out early. I used to get out like 1:15. So I said, I want to get a job. So I went to the McDonald's. I applied. They did an interview. So the manager came back and said, we got 3 options for you. I said, okay. She said, I see you live in Richmond. I actually live in Mechanicsville. But, and the McDonald's I was at interviewing at was 10 minutes from my high school, but it was like 20 minutes from my house. So she said, we can hire you here at this McDonald's and we'll pay you $5.95 or something like that. Mind you, like the minimum wage was like $5.25 at the time, $5.50. This is 2000 or 2001. So minimum wage was super low. Second option, she said, we can hire you at this other McDonald's. This McDonald's is a little further away. It was actually still 10 minutes from my high school still, but it was 30 minutes from my house in Mechanicsville. And she said, but mind you, she thinks I live in Richmond. So she said, if you go to this McDonald's, we'll give you $6.50. I'm like, okay, that's a little better, but that's gonna be mad far. You know, I get out of school, it's 10 minutes away, but I'm still gonna have to drive 30 minutes all the way back to my house in Mechanicsville, right? So then she said, well, there's a third option. She said, well, I know you live in Richmond, but they just built this brand new McDonald's out in Mechanicsville. And if you go and work at this McDonald's, because they need people that just starting up, we'll give you $7.25. I was like, you want me to drive all the way to Mechanicsville to work at a McDonald's? Little does she know. So guess what McDonald's I worked at? Yeah, so I worked at the McDonald's, and the reason I tell you that story because it kind of leads into my college, right? And once I went to college, I worked there my senior year. Once I went to college, the manager liked me so much. She was like, you know what? You can work here whenever you come home from school. She said, whenever you come home from school, whether it's Christmas break, summer break, spring break, just let us know. We'll put you in the system and we'll put you on the schedule and you'll work, right? And so, I was making $7.25, and I know goodness well no regular crew members there was making $7.25. They just gave me that just to entice me to work there, and you know, they didn't even know that I lived in Mechanicsville. But the managers would have to put my name into the system, put how much I made, you know, the last time I was there, and then put me on the schedule. So I would go in, and mind you, the assistant managers made like $8 an hour. Because the regular people only made like 6 something, 5 something. But I was making $7.25. So when I would go back, come home from school, and I would talk to assistant manager, she'd be like, well, alright, what's your name, blah, blah, blah. You know, when can you work, blah, 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 blah. And how much do you make? I said $7.25. She was like, what? That's almost how much I make. I said, I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, so like I said, tell that story because it leads up to my college days. Like I said, I would be coming home from school and working, and like over the summer, way my mom would help me get better with money was to make me budget. She would literally say, if you don't save any money over the summer, when you go back to school, you're not gonna have no money. So I literally would have to save like $800-900 over the summer. I would be working at McDonald's, and I used to work at Hanover Parks and Rec at like a summer camp. I always had 2 jobs, and I was making some decent money. I would save like $800-900, and then I'll go back to school. But when I got back to school, I wasn't really like she would tell me like take you know, $20 out of weed, $40 out of weed. But of course I'm a college kid, bro. Like I'm out here living my best life. And one of the worst decisions I made in college was me getting my own cell phone, bro. Oh my gosh, I don't even know why I did that. That was probably my first biggest dumb decision. It wasn't dumb. It wasn't a dumb decision, but I wasn't mature enough to have a cell phone yet. Second funny story. So, like I said, I work all summer, I go back to college, and I have my little $900 saved up. So at the time, my cell phone was the Nokia. I was on a joint plan with my dad. Both of us had those Nokia phones with the changeable face. I had like a gold face, a red face. You know, I had all types of faces. And I wanted a phone that I could text with. People started texting. And at first, I don't even think we had texting on the plan, because it was like an extra $5 a phone. And I'm like, Ma, like we can afford $5 a phone, even though I wasn't paying for it. But so I was trying to get, she didn't want to get texting or whatever. And so I said, well, if I go to T-Mobile, there's a phone over there I like. It was this phone. I wish I still had it. I got some old cell phones down there, but I don't got this one. It looked like a regular phone. It had a square screen on it, and on the bottom it had regular numbers. But then it would like open up like this, and in the middle that same screen was there, but now on the sides of that screen you had keypads. It had a full keypad and I could text. And I'm like, oh man. Because this was around the time, early 2000s, that Sidekick was out. You know, with that Sidekick flip up. So, I wanted this phone on T-Mobile. My mom wasn't hearing it. But I had my own money. So I went strategically and I got a little bit of money out of my account for my $900 that it was a joint account with my parents, and I made my own account over at Wachovia, a little student account. I think I put like $300 in that bad boy, right? So now I got money in two different accounts. Now I can go get my cell phone. So I went, got a cell phone, activated it. It was free as long as you activate it for a year or something like that. And so I had my phone. The bill was only like $40 a month. That's no problem. And like I said, I got one of the most horrible memories, but I remember numbers. The bill was $40 a month, and it came out every month on the 26th. The first month, I went about the 22nd, 23rd, got the money out, went to T-Mobile, paid it. Boom, cash. There you go. The second month is where the problems came. At this point, I probably had about $200 in my Wachovia account. So I go to get $40 out the account to go pay my T-Mobile bill, right? And this month, like I said, the bill's due on the 26th. This month I go to Wachovia on the 24th, right? When I go to Wachovia, I say, hey, how you doing? Yeah, I was just gonna get $40 out and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So they said, well, we can't do that. I said, what you mean you can't do that? You don't have the available funds. I said, well, I have like $200 in my account. Well, according to our records, you owe us $300. What? My account was $300 in the negative. And I said, well, how did you get $300 in the negative? Oh, well, T-Mobile withdrew your payment. Well, how much was the payment? $400. What? So basically, I had $200, and they took $400, which left me negative $200, and then Wachovia added like $100 in overdraft fees, which made it negative like $300. So I went over to T-Mobile like, yo, why my bill so high? So if y'all don't know, y'all youngins, back in the day, one, you couldn't talk. You only had 300 daytime minutes, and I couldn't. I had unlimited nights and weekends, but it didn't start till 9 o'clock. Then I only had a certain amount of text. Well, I had 300 daytime minutes. Guess what? No, what is it? I went over the daytime minutes. I went over the text, and it made my bill went from $40 to $400. Oh, buddy. And I kept that. You best believe I kept that a secret from my mom. I figured out how to keep paying that bill, and I left that Wachovia account at negative $300 till she found out, and then they paid it up and closed it out. So that's why I left Wachovia. But I tell you all that to say, to give you the background on me with money, to let you know that like I'm not an idiot with money, even though that was an idiotic move. But that was just me learning, you know, how to grow up with cell phones or whatever. But you, me growing up, You know those people that like get on those super high diving boards and they jump off and they try to jump into a swimming pool? Imagine if you were one of those people and you was on that 50-story diving board jumping into a little small swimming pool, but you had a parachute, right? You will feel more confident jumping off that diving board because you have a parachute on, right? And because you know, if you don't aim right, if you go a little to the left, a little to the right, you can just pull that ripcord on that parachute, it opens, and you land, you go and try again. But if you jumping off that 50-story diving board into a pool and you don't got no parachute, you gotta be more focused. You get what I'm saying? You gotta be more focused. And you see, my whole life, I've been jumping off that diving board and I had a parachute, which was my parents. You get what I'm saying? I made dumb decisions like going to get that phone at T-Mobile. They found out my account was in the negative, they paid it up. They cleared it up. You get what I'm saying? Or I had my money for my McDonald's summer job. They cleared it up. I can make decisions in life without having to worry about the backlash because I knew I had that parachute, which was my parents. And so, you know, I graduated from college and I moved back home with my parents, and I got a job making $28,000 a year. This is in 2002, mind you. And I'm 22 years old. That's a lot of money. I went out and bought me a Tahoe. No, Yukon. And I lived in my parents' house from 2005 until 2007. Before I bought my house that I currently live in right now. Ask me how much money I had in my bank account when I moved in this house. And I was making $28,000 a year. Living in my parents' house rent free. $2,000. $2,000, right? And this, like I said, I'm telling you all this background so you can kind of understand, right? It wasn't that I couldn't have saved money. It wasn't that I didn't know how to save money. I had that parachute. You get what I'm saying? I had that parachute. What I need to save money for? I'm living at home rent free. I don't got nothing to worry about. I'm making $28,000 a year. Shoot. So, I moved into this house. Life gave me one of the most biggest lessons ever, bro. We moved into this house. Like I said, mind you, I had $2,000. I had just enough to pay the closing costs and whatnot. But I knew I think I had got a raise up to $31,000. I was making $31,000 now. And I had enough to pay all the bills. Had enough, about $500 extra. And I was moving to this house, which just was a little bigger of a house than we should have bought. But in my mind, learning about real estate, I have read books about real estate. Real estate always appreciates. If you buy a house, in 5 years it'll probably go up $10,000. You sell it, you move it to the next house if you don't like it. So that's why I said I moved to this house. If we don't like it in 5 years, we'll move. We'll take the little $10,000, we'll go buy another house. That's what I thought. But if you listen to what I said when I moved into this house, 2007. What happened in 2008? The market crashed. So from 2007 to 2008, the value of my house went down $50,000, $40,000. And at its lowest point, the value of my house had went down about $70,000 over the years. So now I'm stuck in this house, paying a mortgage for a house that's not even valued. Like where my house went, the value it went down. If I had got a new mortgage for it, then I wouldn't even be paying half of what I was paying. You get what I'm saying? So now I'm living in this house. Bills going up, even though the mortgage staying the same. You know, cable going up, electric going up, water going up, all these bills going up. We get Netflix and all these other services, and money is starting to get tight, right? And things start breaking down. Hot water heater, whole air conditioning system, that's $5,000. Hot water heater, $500. I don't got that much money, so the only thing I got to put it on is a credit card. Now I'm running this credit card up, running that credit card up, and I get to the point. Remember that analogy I gave you of people. There's one person with a jumping off that high diving board into a pool with a parachute. I went from the guy with the parachute to the guy with no parachute, and I didn't even know it. I had moved out of my parents' house, and I was too stubborn to go back and ask them for help. I'm not going to go back and ask them for help. So now I'm out here on my own. On my own. Yeah, I'm on my own, people. And I will tell you the day and the moment where I was at my brokest point I ever was in my life. It was my reality check. I never forget, I was working a midnight shift. I got off for work. I needed some deodorant. Deodorant, that's all I needed. One thing. About $2, $3. I go to Kroger, right when they open, it's literally empty. There's nobody there. And I go to the self-checkout, ring up the deodorant, swipe my debit card. Decline. Had two debit cards for two bank checking accounts. Swipe the other debit card. Decline. Go into my account on my phone, online banking. Realize that some bills came out and both of my accounts are in the negative. Remember those credit cards I had? Already maxed them out. Buying air conditioners and whatnot. I had 2 credit cards. So now I got 2 debit cards, 2 checking accounts in the negative, 2 credit cards maxed out. I'm standing in this Kroger, a grown man, and I can't buy deodorant. Deodorant. And that's why I'm broke. I'm broke. I had to leave the deodorant there and go home funky. A grown man. You get what I'm saying? You know, and that's kind of what started my pursuit for a business. I started, you know, I told y'all this story, but I'll give y'all a couple of examples. I started to try to make any kind of business I could make, you know. I knew how to do graphic design, so I said, I'm gonna make a business card thing. So I sat there and calculated it up. Ooh, I can make like 50 business cards for somebody, and no, 100 business cards for somebody, and I'll charge them like $50, and I'll make a website and they can order it. And then one day my wife came home from work and she was like, oh, I got an email from this company called Vistaprint, and you can get like 500 cards for $10. I'm like, what? Well, there goes that business idea. How am I gonna compete with that? Then I had another idea. I had so much ideas. One of the worst ones was I decided I was gonna make clocks. I was just like looking at a clock one day and realized all a clock was like that paper part with all the numbers and stuff on it, and then it just had a clock mechanism through the back. So I said, well, what if I, you know, doing my graphic design, I designed the actual paper part of the clock, and I could give people custom clocks. So I went to Michael's, bought a hot glue gun, the little clock mechanism, the arms, the hands, and I was gonna start a clock making business. But then after I bought all the stuff and I got home, I'm like, bro, this is dumb. But yeah, so, you know, and then I stumbled into lawn care. And, you know, it kind of saved my life. But I mean, the moral to the story, long story, is that like I said, my whole life I always had a parachute. Even though I knew how to save money, I knew how to balance money, I knew how to budget money, because I always had that parachute and I never was broke, I didn't appreciate money. And from that day in that Kroger with that deodorant, I cherished every dollar I ever made. To the point where I'm now like, whatever money I make, I make sure I put it and pay off a bill when I'm supposed to. You get what I'm saying? Like, what's the point of waiting? Just pay it off if you can, you know. But that's how I went broke. Am I still broke? Nah. I ain't broke. I ain't rich. But I'm living the dream. I wake up, you know, sleep when I want, how long I want to sleep, help my daughter with her online schooling. And I work when I want to work. But I'm not telling you guys to go broke. Just so you can find out your love of money, or your how to appreciate money. But I'm just letting you know, if you're at a place where you think you're broke, you're probably not as broke as you could be. So appreciate it. Plan it out, save your money, and do your thug thizzle. Like I always say, I'm gonna start saying this at the end of every video. I post 3 videos a week now. This week it was coincidentally 3 Tipsy talks, but usually it's gonna be an informational video on Tuesday, an action video of me cutting grass, not now, probably leaf cleaning, on Thursday, and then a Tipsy talk on Saturday. So look out for that. You'll probably be seeing some type of informational video on Monday, whether it's a review, a how-to, or something like that. Check it out. Come check out your boy. Thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe. Stay tuned. Yes, sir.